What's up, you guys? Ross Sapp, managing editor of Fightful.com, here with a bit of a new feature of the news updates that I plan on doing whenever these UFC rankings drop. Of course, we do our own Fightful MMA rankings, but UFC very much bases their matchmaking off of their own. So we're going to take a look at them each week, and if these are well received, we'll keep doing them. We're going to take a look at these updated rankings. They just went up, and major implications as there are brand new rankings for a whole new division. So let's start here from the top. Pound for pound, Robert Whittaker and Joanna Jędrzejczyk move up a spot each, as Dominic Cruz also slides into the top 15 as well. But I'm surprised that Sergio Pettis only fell one spot, or maybe even that he did fall past Formiga. You're not going to see him fall too far in that division because he's beaten a lot of those guys there. But not a lot of movement in the flyweight division with Henry Cejudo winning. He just lost to Joseph Benavidez not that long ago. It feels like maybe about a year ago. But that was a very questionable decision. So you could really have them at 1-1 if you really needed to. Brett Johns made a big splash in the bantamweight division, jumped up to number 13. That pushed Rob Font and Matt Lopez back one each. That's going to be shaken up a little bit, I would imagine, with the Marlon Moraes, Aljamain Sterling fight that is coming up. So keep your eyes on that. In the lightweight division, Eddie Alvarez moved up to number 3. Justin Gaethje didn't fall at all in that loss to Alvarez. Edson Barboza did fall one spot. Barboza has a big fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov, though, so that's something to keep your eye on as well. Michael Johnson somehow moves up a spot, while Ali Iaquinta falls one. James Vick falls a spot, and Trinaldo shows up. Trinaldo, late in life, getting big rankings. Now, here's the one that we knew was going to happen. Francis Ngannou, number 1 heavyweight, pushing Overeem, Verdum, and Velasquez down. To me, Velasquez just doesn't fight enough, so I think 4 is a fair enough ranking for him. But I would really like to see the UFC institute like some sort of activity clause in their rankings. Speaking of that, Juliana Pena is still ranked. That's puzzling to me. She's pregnant. Don't know why they would do that. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So take her out of there. Let somebody else get some shine in those rankings. At least have the number 15 next to their name. Rousey's still in there too. Very questionable. Over in women's strawweight, Michelle Waterson's loss drops her down a spot, which allows Cynthia Calvillo to move up a spot. Calvillo does fight at the end of the month against Esparza, who fell a spot, as her buddy Felice Herrig jumped her in the rankings. I would honestly probably have Herrig above Waterson. I would have Herrig at a 7 and Waterson right below her. But now you're starting to get some activity here in this division with Torres, Calvillo, Herrig really, really emerging. The women's flyweight, boy, is this going to be a shit show. Next week, it's going to look completely different, I'm sure, as Liz Carmouche and Alexis Davis, who are ranked number 10 and 11 respectively at women's bantamweight, will be in this division. Like, I don't even know how to approach this. Nico Montano is the champion. Lauren Murphy, who hasn't won much of anything lately besides that controversial fight the other night, is 2. Roxanne Modafferi, number 3. That's probably fair. Barb Honchak, 4, number fair. Sajara Eubanks, number 1. That is fair, but she didn't show up the other night to fight. She couldn't make it, so who knows if she'll even be competing at that weight moving forward. Ostovich, number 7, probably the right move. And then you have a lot of people like Beck Rawlings. She'll be fighting at 125 now. Kalindra Faira, that's one that people can kind of watch out for. So this is this is an opportunity for a bunch of people who, many of which would never have been ranked in any other division, to get that spot. And still, there is no UFC women's featherweight rankings because that is ultimately a UFC celebrity division. Just whatever 135 they can find that pops up ends up fighting in that until Megan Anderson steps up. But yeah, that women's flyweight, I'm going to definitely take a screenshot of that and compare how it stacks up next week. I get the feeling that a lot of these panelists didn't even fill out their women's flyweight, and if they did, they probably picked it out of a hat. And some of that's understandable because many of these women don't necessarily have fights in that division in the UFC. Many of them you can base off of their Ultimate Fighter performances because I think those hold some weight in this new division. Of course, we have all kinds of MMA news on the MMA Holy Smokes MMA podcast. Sorry about that. Where we heard from Kevin Lee, Raquel Pennington. You saw tons of UFC 218 stars talking about their weekend. And of course, James Lynch had the MMA Industry podcast yesterday morning with Alexander Lee from MMA Fighting, a great resource to find out what goes on behind the scenes in MMA coverage. We have a post show for UFC Fresno. It'll air this Sunday, a bit of a wrap up. So be sure to check that out. And of course, we do have UFC Fresno coverage this weekend. Keep it locked to Fightful.com. Subscribe, like, thumbs up. We're out.